If you grew up during the early 2000s and were lucky enough to have consoles, I am sure that the PlayStation Portable First Gen was something that you either owned or something that you at least tried once or twice. Now, looking back, I was that lucky kid, and even though now in 2023, I have that same PSP First Gen as a disassembled frame on my wall, the thing is, I used to look forward to playing with that thing every single weekend when I was little. And this is the ROG Ally, and the highest praise that I can give to this gaming console is this: it makes me feel the same way the PSP used to. Now, starting this review up, let me divide this video into 3 categories for you guys. Number 1, portability, of course, since it's a handheld gaming console. Number 2, gaming performance and operating system, obviously very important. And last but not the least, number 3, miscellaneous things that you should know about that I got to know when I was using the ROG Ally. Let's get started. First up, portability. Now, the ROG Ally is portable, but not really. Okay, hear me out. Yes, of course, it's not as small as the Nintendo Switches of the world or the PSPs when they were portable gaming consoles. But the fact of the matter is that, to run the games that this little guy does, of course, you need a thicker and a longer potential body. But yeah, it's pretty portable on most scenarios. So, of course, the ROG Ally fits in very easily into most regular sized backpacks. You can carry it whenever you want. It is a little heavy, weighing in at around 608 grams. So if you're thinking of playing this while you're on your bed at night facing up, it's gonna put a little bit of strain on your wrists. But whether it is something that you use while traveling, on a flight or on a train ride, or you want to play this while sleeping facing down, this is wonderful and it scores a lot of points in that regard. So it is portable in most cases. Okay, category number 2, let's talk about the gaming performance first. This is one of the most important things that it comes down to when you are considering a handheld gaming console. Now, this one comes with AMD's own proprietary Z1 Extreme chip, which is a brand new chip that they made especially for this console. It's got 8 cores, 16 threads, and gives you up to 5.10 gigahertz of boost. AMD Radeon graphics built in with that, and you get 16 gigs of DDR5 memory as well as RAM. The max TDP that is delivered is 30 watts of power when it is plugged in with the PD charger. Now, what does all of this translate to in real world results? Well, here is what I found out. Okay, so I tested an array of different games like Red Dead Redemption 2, Forza Horizon 5, and also a couple of older titles that I really like playing, like The Crew 2 and The Witcher 3. Now, this ROG Ally just played everything really well according to me. Now, you have the footage on your screen right now, but yeah, a lot of the gameplay performance actually depends on which mode you have the Ally in, silent, performance or turbo, and of course on what kind of resolutions you're outputting the game in. So the native screen is a 1080p screen, so you can run most AAA games and older titles at a stable 40-50 FPS with low to medium settings on 1080p, or you can bump that down to 720p with higher ultra settings and get around 50 to 60 FPS depending on the game, of course, and the kind of optimization that it has. But I think it's easy enough to say that the ROG Ally handles all the games that you will want to play that are available for a Windows computer. All this power, however, comes at a cost. We'll talk about that later. First, let's talk about the OS. So, as most of you guys know, the ROG Ally is very unlike compared to the Steam Deck or other handheld gaming consoles. Now, the fact that it runs Windows has both pros and cons. The pros are that, well, you can run any game that has ever existed on Windows with the right downloads and the right settings. This will literally play any Windows game there is that you would ever want to play. So you're not bounded by a limited collection of games, which I think is a huge pro in the favor of the ROG Ally. You can connect an external keyboard as well as a mouse to it via Bluetooth or wireless technology. You can even go crazy and connect the external GPU that Asus sells and connect a 4K monitor with that because it supports DisplayPort 1.4 technology, and go crazy, but let's not go there. Now, the flaws are of course the same. It runs Windows OS, and therefore the Windows crashes and bugs that we face from time to time on our laptops and PCs also translates to the ROG Ally. The first time I opened it up and logged into all of my accounts and downloaded games, it wouldn't even download them. and then when they finally finished downloading, it wouldn't even open the games. I had to do quite a bit of troubleshooting to get things up and running, and this is the typical Windows problem. All I am saying is, if an unknown user is getting into this thinking that it is going to be a seamless experience like the Steam Deck where you're going to log in, open it up, download your games and get playing, think otherwise. It is definitely worth getting used to, however, but yes, because it runs Windows, the bugs and the crashes of Windows also come along with that. Okay, now moving on to the miscellaneous things category. Remember how I told you guys earlier that all that power comes with a major flaw? Well, surprise, surprise, it's the battery life. So even though the Ally has a 40 watt-hour battery, there's only so much you can do with it. Now, of course, the battery life depends on which mode you have the Ally in, as well as what kind of game you're playing and for how long. But just to give you guys a rough idea, if you have it in the normal 15 watt performance mode, you can kill this thing at around 2.5 to 3 hours max. And if you go all guns blazing turbo mode with 25 watts and play a really high-end game, you can kill it in as little as 40 to 50 minutes. Now, this in my opinion is kind of a flaw for the ROG Ally, but hey, the ROG Ally can run AAA games that most gaming consoles cannot, but only for so long. The smart thing to do here is to have the Ally plugged in via the supplied charger, which gives you 65 watts of PD power delivery. That way you not only unlock the 30 watt more power mode, so better performance, and you don't have to worry about battery life and you can play for as long as you like. Other things to know about the ROG Ally: the screen is very nice. It's a 7-inch display which is 1080p, is IPS, has got great color reproduction and is also 120 Hz. So using it feels very fluid and just very nice to use overall. It's also got a max brightness of 500 nits, which I think is just enough for playing games indoors or at night. You're not going to be needing that kind of high brightness anyway. Other than that, you get a dual speaker setup with Dolby Atmos in it. The speakers are really nice. They're not very loud, but when you're playing games and there's no other noise nearby, they do give you the feel and the depth very nicely. Other than that, you also get a 3.5mm headphone jack at the top, which is amazing, and a micro SD card for additional storage. The onboard storage is 512 gigs of NVMe M.2 SSD, so that is also really fast and fluid to use. The power button on the top also has a fingerprint sensor on it for faster unlock and of course for security reasons, and that is a welcome feature as well. Overall, all very solid specifications on this console right here. All of this for a price of effectively 70,000 here in India definitely puts it way more expensive compared to the PlayStation Portable or other consoles we used to play when we were kids. But we are no longer kids, and just like us, the ROG Ally has grown and has become one of the most powerful handheld gaming consoles that can play any game that you throw at it. That was my review. Let me know what you guys think about the Ally in the comments below, and whether you'll be getting one or not. This is Anubhav signing out. I'll catch you guys next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, press on the bell icon, and bye-bye. Peace out.